answer. I'm not going to even come close to describing for you what he did. But I will tell you that what he told her was, this is how I am transmitting to you the Holy Spirit, the evil. And again, you can see that on Netflix. It's called The Keepers. And I don't recommend you let your young people watch it. Now, Charles Chiniquy, in his book, The Woman at the Confessional, Chiniquy, in his book, The Priest, The Woman at the Confessional, says that the priests were trained and instructed by their superiors on how to get a woman in the confessional to reveal things that she wouldn't even reveal to her mother. And in the confessional, the person is told that they must make what's called a good confession, meaning that they have spelled out in no uncertain terms every single sin they've ever committed. And if they don't do that, then God will hold all of their other sins against them, and they will be burned in the lake of fire forever if they forget to confess or don't confess one sin. God will not forgive any of it. Is that biblical? No. After all, who can remember all of their sins? Who? Who can remember all of them? I can't. You can't. And you can't tell me that you confess everything you do wrong to God. Because I guarantee you there's a lot more you do that you don't think about. But here's what Ephesians says about this confessional grooming. Ephesians 4:29, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. Let no corrupt communication come out of your mouth, priests. You're only supposed to speak to the people in your confessional box that which is good for edifying. Because what will happen is the priest will start out and they'll say, okay, what sins have you committed? Well, I stole a 5-cent piece off my father's dresser. Okay. I lied to my teacher about an answer I gave on my homework. Okay, well, I called my brother a name. Okay, that's bad. I disobeyed my parents one time this week. Okay, that's bad. Is that it? Yeah, I think it is. Then the priest, not this week. Okay, that's bad. Is that it? Yeah, I think it is. Then the priest, not satisfied. So he asks whether it's a young boy, a young girl, a maiden, an unmarried woman, or even a married woman. That's nice looking. He'll ask the person, what about the things that you've been thinking about? Father, what are you speaking of? Well, I'm speaking of concupiscence. I'm speaking of lust of the eyes and lust of the flesh. Have you committed any sins in regard to someone you've cast your eyes upon. Well, yeah. Okay. When you cast your eyes upon this person, what were you envisioning doing with that person? We're talking, we're going back now to 1850s. At a time when women don't talk the way they talk now. Women today talk worse than sailors now. But back then, women did not speak of things like that. Not even to their husband in many cases. But now she's being forced to say things to her priest that she wouldn't even tell her own mother.
Come on there.
The priest keeps pressing her with questions after, and he's been trained in this. So, how did you see this man that you lusted after? The man that you saw was he aroused in any way? Explain to me what it was you wanted to do with him. And this priest is then demanding that this woman or this girl reveal to this unmarried bachelor man her deepest, darkest lust that she had. Here's how Charles Chiniquy wrote it in his book, The Priest, the Woman, and Confession. Here's what he said. If a lady has a little sore on her small finger and is obliged to go to the physician for a remedy, she has only to show her little finger, allow the plaster or ointment to be applied, and all is finished. The physician never says to that lady, "It is my duty to suspect that you have many other parts of your body which are sick. I am bound in conscience under pain of death to examine you from head to foot in order to save your precious life from those secret diseases which may kill you if they are not cured just now. Several of these diseases are of such a nature that you never dared perhaps to examine them with the attention they deserve. You are hardly conscious of them. I know, madam, that this is a very painful and delicate thing for both you and me, that I should be forced to make that thorough examination of your person. However, there is no help. I am duty bound to do it. But you have nothing to fear. I am a holy man who has made a vow of celibacy. We are alone. Neither your husband nor your father will ever know the secret they find in you. For they will never even suspect the perfect investigation I will make. And they will forever be ignorant of the remedy I will apply." And again, that's from the book, The Priest and the Confession. You know, in public schools, and I've been hearing about this for years, without parental permission, will bring girls, 6th, 7th grade girls, into the nurse's office to have a physical exam of them, saying that we're checking for genital warts. When what probably they're actually doing is looking for signs of whether or not that girl in 6th or 7th grade is a virgin. Because if she's not, then that means that more than likely someone has molested her, and they're going to initiate an investigation that girl's life and find out who did this to her. That's pretty doggone invasive if you ask me. In other words, no evidence whatsoever that this girl has had anything happen to her. But the school is going to go on a fishing trip and try to find out if it's possible there's anything done to her. You know, that's the reason why the Constitution says that the government, the police, the courts cannot just go into your house looking around to see if you've done anything wrong. They have to submit evidence to a judge to say, we already suspect, because we have this evidence, this evidence, this evidence, this evidence, and this evidence, that says that we believe more than likely they are stashing drugs in their house. We've been putting them under surveillance. We have people dropping by there every 15 minutes, going to the front door, knocking, people exchanging things in their hands, and people leaving. Your Honor, can we have a search warrant to go into that house? More than likely, the judge will give them a search warrant because that's evidence that they're dealing drugs. But the police just don't have the right to go into the house. That they think, well, we don't think anything's going on here. We haven't heard anything, but let's go through their whole house. Let's go through their financial records. Let's look through their checkbooks. Let's open up all their drawers. And you know what? We might just find something. We find out they're breaking the law. They're not allowed to do that. But this concept that Chiniquy came up with, he knows exactly what he's talking about. What he's referring to is, I need to examine every portion of your heart to find out if there's some hidden sin there that you're not telling me about. It's my job to know whether or not you've been doing something wrong. And if you have, then it's my job that we have to deal with this and take care of this right now. And again, that priest is forcing that girl or that woman to say things that she would never, ever say. Forcing that girl or that woman to say things that she would never, ever say to her own mother. According to the Catholic Catechism, lest the confessor should indolently hesitate in tracing out the circumstances of any sin, let him have the following versicle of circumstances in readiness. Quis, quid, ubi, quibus, auxiliis, cur, quomodo, quando. In other words, who, which, where, with, whom, why, how, and when. In other words, every feasible question and every feasible way that priest can get into the hearts of that woman or that 12-year-old girl or that 11-year-old boy. I mean, this is how they're doing it. The priest says, oh, ma'am, your son, he is an outstanding young man. God would be so honored and pleased to use him as one of the altar boys. So if you would let us use him 3 to 4 days a week, your family would receive such an honor to have him as our altar boy. And just think of the graces that God's going to give you and your family. He's going to forgive so many sins of you just letting your son do this. And so they get the son over there. They get him start confessing things in the confessional. That's when they get the story out. Chiniquy says this, but what a wretched life must be of those exceptional noble souls which Rome keeps in the dark dungeons of her superstition. They read in all their books and hear from all their pulpits that if they conceal a single sin from their confessors, they are forever lost. But being absolutely unable to trample under their feet the laws of self-respect and decency which God himself has impressed in their souls, they live in constant dread of eternal damnation. No human words can tell their desolation and distress when at the feet of their confessors they find themselves under the horrible necessity of speaking of things on which they would prefer to suffer the most cruel death rather than to open their lips, or to be forever damned if they do not degrade themselves forever in their own eyes by speaking on matters in which a respectable woman will never reveal to her own mother, much less to a man. And at that, a bachelor, an unmarried man. See, at least a married man, after being told all these things, can go home and he has a wife. But an unmarried man who claims celibacy, there's no outlet. There's no release for him. There's nothing. So you think he's going to hold all that in and not act on it? Not a chance. You know, when I first read Chiniquy's book, The Priest and Woman in Confession, I wasn't sure that was how things were really going. And the first time I even looked into it was back in the 80s. Then the 90s hit, and for some reason in the 90s, it all started coming out. So I took Chiniquy's book out again and read it again, and I went, my goodness, that's how they're doing it. Everything that Chiniquy said in his book is exactly what's happening right now. And for the most part, these priests are using the confessional to get into the minds and the hearts of their victims. And I respect Chiniquy greatly because he takes one long paragraph in his book and in vague terms admits that he himself was not guiltless of the shame and the reproach of violating both his vow of celibacy and violating his vow of
After working out, how long does it take to get your heart back to normal? the healthiest, your heart rate takes 20, 30 minutes to go back to normal.
Tell who, all, what, when, where. But at least he admitted, I know this is going on. Because I myself got caught up in it. It's an honest There's a book called The Mirror of the Clergy. Here's what it says. It is necessary that the confessor should know everything on which he has to exercise his judgment. Let him then, with wisdom and subtlety, interrogate the sinners on the sins which they may ignore or conceal through shame. In other words, there is a commandment on priests that they must interrogate the persons confessing to make sure that they've told the priest everything. And if the priest doesn't think they've confessed everything, then they have a right to go after them with demanding questions, demanding them. You tell me what you did. I know you did it. You tell me what you did, or you will burn with an everlasting fire.
One of her kittens looks really weird. Don't really know what's going on here, but it's got a long nose.
Always feed your light bulbs.
God, what do you think about life?
Apparently, they were performing some kind of ritual. He is plotting his revenge. It took me a few moments to realize what is happening. When the automatic feeder goes off. It took me a few moments to realize what is happening.
Bathtub. He's in the bathtub. I was like, what?
Moments to realize what is happening.
Looks like he's floating. So cracking.
When the automatic feeder goes off.
So this is my cat, and one of her kittens looks...
Hold on, guys. 479 minus 545. 543. Negative 543. 479. 540 negative 543. 543, yep. So live.
Also chimeras as well. We had man, or we had mid.
Saying they confess everything, that they have a right to go after them with demanding questions, demanding them. You tell me what you did. I know you did it. You tell me what you did, or you will burn with an everlasting fire. Cynically writes in the Priest, the Woman, and Confession on page 73. He says, "Who will believe that the bachelors of the Pope are made of stronger metal than the Davids?" I like this statement. Made of stronger metal than the Davids, the Samsons, and the Solomons. Where is the man who was so completely lost his common sense as to believe that the priests of Rome are stronger than Samson, holier than David, wiser than Solomon? Now think about this for a minute. Samson had all this strength, didn't he?
149.
But he had only one weakness. What was it? It was women. He was always, and it wasn't just nice women of the neighborhood. He had a thing for prostitutes. Delilah was one. Okay? David, the mighty captain of the Lord's army, could not be defeated except by a woman taking a bath that he sat and watched from the roof of his house. Solomon, the wisest king to ever live the earth, who had everything, but he could never get enough women. See, that's what he's saying. So he says, "Who will believe that confessors will stand up on their feet amidst the storms which prostrate in the dust those giants of the armies of the Lord? To suppose that, in the generality of cases, the confessor can resist the temptations by which he is daily surrounded in the confessional. That he will constantly refuse the golden opportunities which offer themselves to him to satisfy the almost irresistible propensities of his fallen human nature is neither wisdom nor charity. It is simply folly." In other words, if David, Samson, and Solomon that test. What makes you think you're a priest? You know, Paul said in Corinthians, he said, of the things which you've written of me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Now, some say, well, that means, you know, that it's good not to sleep with. No, it's just good for a man not to touch a woman. Let's say that you work in an office building. You're a man, you work in an office building. You got a wife at home, you have children. You love your wife, you love your kids. But there's a gal up there. She is constantly after you. She starts out making little flirtatious remarks toward you. You turn around and look, and she's got her eyes on you. Those are eyes full of adultery. In the coffee room, she ends up in there while you're in there, and all of a sudden her hand's touching yours. One day you have a bad day, and she comes over there and embraces you and holds you. And the deeper things go, the longer they go. And the more she touches you, she's just chipping away at your stamina. Most men get afraid. And the confessional is no different. And these bachelors of Rome are like the lion of Satan, walking to and fro, seeking whom they may devour. On page 77, Chineke writes a woman's confession to him. She says, I was only 9 years old when my first confessor began to do very criminal things with me. Now, this is in the 1800s. Every time I was at his feet confessing my sins. At first I was ashamed and much disgusted, but soon after I became so depraved that I was looking eagerly for every opportunity of meeting him, either in his house, or in the church, in the vestry, and many times in his own garden. It was dark at night. That priest did not remain very long. He was removed, and to my great regret, to another place where he died. He was succeeded by another one who seemed at first to be a very holy man. I made to him a general confession with, it seems to me, a sincere desire to give up forever that sinful life. But I feared that my confessions became a cause of sin to that good priest. For not long after my confession was finished, he declared to me in the confessional his love with such passionate words that he soon brought me down again into my former criminal habits with him. That lasted 6 years. When my parents moved to this place, I was very glad for it, for I hoped that being away from him, I should not be any more a cause of sin to him, that I might begin a better life. The fourth time that I went to confess to my new confessor, he invited me to go to his room, where we did things so disgusting together that I do not know how to confess them. It was 2 days before my marriage, and the only child I have is the fruit of that sinful hour. After my marriage, I continued the same criminal life with my confessor. He was the friend of my husband. We had many opportunities of meeting each other, not only when I was going to confess, but when my husband was absent and my child was at school. It was evident to me that several other women were as miserable and criminal as I was myself. This sinful intercourse with my confessor went on till God Almighty stopped it with a real thunderbolt. You listen to this. My dear only daughter had gone to confess and received the Holy Communion. As she came back from church much later than I expected, I inquired the reason which had kept her so long. She then threw herself into my arms and with convulsive cries said, "Dear mother, do not ask me to go to confess any more." Oh, if I could know what my confessor asked me when I was at his feet, and if you could know what he has done with me, and he has forced me to do with him when he had me alone in his parlor. My poor child could not speak any longer. She fainted in my arms. This woman, led into an adulterous affair by a priest, enjoying the affair. But then when her daughter turns about 8 or 9, she sends her daughter to the same priest to confess it, who then does to her what he did to her mother. And when her mother found out, the rest of the story I don't have here, but she was going to go down and kill it.
Can't blame it.
She was going to go down and kill that priest. And it just makes me wonder why so many priests are getting by with this, using what in the Catholic Church you must have the confessional as part of your salvation experience. You cannot, in the Catholic Church, go to heaven without going to the priest to confess your sins. And if you go to the priest to confess your sins, or you send your children there, there is a good chance that your child is going to be raised. Bible says about real confession. Okay? And maybe, hopefully, the Bible will change your mind, your heart, about who to confess your sins to. Maybe one of these days you'll realize I think it's better to just go to God than it is to sit, listen to that priest tell me how I'm supposed to be doing good things that we have spent all week breaking the zealously. Psalm 32 is one of my favorite passages in the Bible. Blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Blessed is the man unto whom the Lord imputeth not iniquity, in whose spirit there is no guile. When I kept silence, my bones waxed old through my roaring all the day long. The day and night thy hand was heavy upon me, my moisture was turned into the drought of summer. Selah. Now watch this. I acknowledge my sin unto thee, God, and mine iniquity have I not hid. I said, here it is, I will confess my transgressions unto the Lord, not the priest. And thou forgavest the iniquity of my sin. Selah. Selah means think about it. For this shall every one that is godly pray unto me in a time when thou mayest be found. Surely in the floods of great waters they shall not come nigh to me. Written by David, who of course was a sinner. He didn't go to the high priest. He confessed his sin directly to God. So anybody that desires to be called a godly person, according to the Bible, is a person who confesses their sins to God, because to God, we know we can tell God everything, every dirty little filthy thing that we have thought or done, and we know that God's not going to use us over it.
Okay, give me a second. Be right back. Like, comment, subscribe. right quick. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you in the next video. Oh, you know what? Let's bring all this stuff. And you know what? We don't have to. I wonder if he won't fall down and get hurt. Praising my Savior all the day long. Okay, so I'm gonna go for a little bit. I'm gonna go pre-order Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I'm so tired. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you in the next video.
You
Peace
tell
out.
me what you did. I know you did it. You tell